Hi, this is Carol from the Society of Thoracic Surgeons. This is the user group call for the Adult Cardiac Surgery Database for February 7th. Well, we're going to start with the call. This call runs from 2 p.m. Central to 3 p.m. Central. We had a mix-up, which I apologize, in what was posted online and what was sent out. We will redo this call again at 3 p.m. Central Time for those folks who were miscommunicated to. So I apologize, and we're going to get started here now. Thank you for joining on a Friday afternoon. So on the call with me today, I have Sarah Kraft, who is over our project at IQVIA, Alex, who is a business analyst, along with Jeanette, who is also a business analyst from IQVIA. Melanie Bent is not able to join us today. From STS, I have Donna McDonald, Jane Hahn, and Leanne Jones. So today is more of a questions and answers opportunity for you. IQVIA will provide a current status update. We'll go over the support overview and ask for your user feedback. I want to ask that when you are submitting questions, if you could please, if you already have a ticket number or a case number, if you could submit those using the Q&A. When you submit the Q&A, please include your ticket or case number. That way we can refer to it and be able to track it after the call. Again, the data specs have been released to the vendors. The software specs are coming soon, and they're in the process of building version 4.20.1. And we have the webinars on the page, and the transition resources are available on the STS database webpage. I'm going to hand this over to Sarah Kraft for an update on the current status of the transition. Sarah?
Thanks, Carol. So I just wanted to highlight a few points and then obviously want to go into questions because I know there's quite a few. First, I just wanted to mention that there's actually been 398,000 successful uploads since we opened the system on the 28th of January. So huge amount of data has already been added to the system. So that's both new records as well as updated records. And then I wanted to touch upon a few points, common questions that we're seeing in these user group sessions, as well as questions coming into our support desk. So the first one is, how do you remove records? So if there's a scenario where you entered data and you wanted it removed, what you would do is send the record ID, your participant ID, and the patient ID for the records that you want removed to our support team, and then we will work to get those removed for you. The second question is around the infinite loading. So I think some of the users are having a loop in terms of the loading, and that is something that we're working to address. We know it's affecting quite a few of the data managers, and we're working hard to address that as quickly as possible. And then the third point I wanted to highlight was just there are also questions regarding the warnings related to the duplicate data. So essentially what this is telling you within our new system is that there's already an existing record that exists for that patient and record ID, and the system's updating it with the new information that you've uploaded. So it's just a notification to you that update is occurring. It's not mentioning that there's some issue. It's just, again, a highlight that, oh, that record was already there, and we're updating that with the new information that you've submitted. So I think those are my key points. We'll try and keep it brief today, so I'll hand it back to Carol. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Sarah. So the next thing I want to talk about was the IQVIA support plan. We've been showing this on the slides. It's nothing has changed here. You're going to either phone in or email tech support at ststechsupport@iqvia.com to start the process. They'll provide you with a ticket number either on the phone or via email. That becomes a tier 1 level question, something simple like, what's my username and password, or could you please help me reset? And then if it's something that needs to be escalated, they close the tier 1 ticket and they open a tier 2 ticket, which then gets forwarded on. And this time frame can take up to a few days to get a response back from tier 2. So we ask for your patience, but if you feel that it's over a few days and you're anxiously awaiting, which we know you are, and we want to get you the responses as quickly as possible, feel free to reach out again to the STS tech support at IQVIA.com. And then those questions get routed to STS or to within the support leads and systems application support at IQVIA or to STS, and then it will go further to a tier level 3, which is the vendors or DCRI as needed. Sarah, did you have anything to add to that?
No, the only point, I think you had mentioned that when tier 1 passes to tier 2, the ticket is closed, and that is correct, but we've heard your feedback on that point, and we're working to adjust that process. So in the future, you'll just have the same ticket number until the issue is resolved. So thank you for your feedback on that.
All right, great, thank you. And then our resources here, we have the STS National Database webpage, and then the STS tech support at IQVIA.com, which will handle questions regarding the uploader, DQR, missing variable report, the dashboard, and passwords and logins. And then the STS National Database feedback form. This is for general feedback you could provide to us, and a list of the resource documents. We're going to open it up to open discussion now. I ask that you please use the Q&A function of this webinar to submit your questions. We'll answer as many questions as possible, and we encourage your feedback and want to hear from you. I do want to apologize that this call was supposed to be scheduled for 2 p.m. We had some conflicting information on the STS website where one area said 3 p.m., another area said 2 p.m., so we will stay on the call for those who probably will be joining at 3 p.m. who may have missed this call. For this time, we will stay on the call later just so we can make sure we don't miss anybody's questions. I'm going to wait for some more questions to come into the Q&A, and in the meantime, I wanted to take a quick look at the STS website to show where the resource documents are at. So this is the STS.org website. You're going to go to Registries and Research Center, and then STS National Database. This is the home screen for the database. You have each arm of the database up here: adult cardiac, general thoracic, congenital, and intermax. If you scroll down here, you'll see the list of the webinars, and this is where you're going to find the adult cardiac webinars. And then for the past webinars is where you'll find the recordings and the PDFs of the slides for those past webinars all the way back to October. And then further down on this is the STS National Database splash screen homepage again. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll have the data transition resources, which will contain information on the FAQs. These are some of the commonly asked questions that we've been getting in. The contact information and support plan, which is the tree that we just saw. General feedback form where you can submit general questions over to us, which we'll share with IQVIA for feedback on how to improve the platform. Your STS IQVIA checklist with GoLive, and then we have uploader instructions and a dashboard overview, which you could find here. In addition to these resources, there are videos which have been posted. The general navigation video and the uploader and DQR videos are here as well. So I encourage you to take a look at those as you're preparing to submit your data. And I'm going to go back over to the questions now, if we're ready for that. Oh, Alex, I wanted to hand it over to you to do your screen share. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm actually setting up the environment, so if we want to take in a couple of questions, I can then give the demo.
Okay, and then just let me know when you're ready, and you can jump in here, okay?
Sure.
Okay, great, thank you. So the first question I have here is, has it been decided whether or not we are going to have a further extension on our deadline? And STS, IQVIA, and DCRI have been having internal discussions about this. We realize how critical it is. Apparently the upvote function is working. So if you see a question there that you would like, I turned it on and then it shut it off automatically, but apparently it's working. So it's in beta test right now for Zoom. So if you see the upvote function on your screen, you could upvote questions if those are important to you and somebody else is asking them. We will answer those first. So the first question I have there, has it been decided whether or not we are going to have a further extension on our deadline? and we are critically evaluating that along with IQVIA and DCRI. We really want to give a further extension and hope that we can. We should have more information on that in next week's webinars. So please stay tuned for that, and note that we really are taking this deadline seriously, and we know how important it is to you all. Next question. Just double checking that only quarter 4 2019 has to be submitted. I am used to submitting a whole year. So Dia, and everybody who's listening, if you've submitted your file that ended with the dates of 9/30/2019 to the Harvest 4 over to DCRI, and you have not made any changes to those records, that data has all been sent over to IQVIA, so you do not need to re-upload that data. It will be merged with your current submission, which would just be data from October 1st through December 31st, 2019. Sarah, did you have anything to add to that?
Nope, agree completely.
Okay, thank you. Next question. In regards to the duplicate warning, I feel these are informational and I don't need them showing up again. It is redundant and cluttering up the list. Please look into fixing this ASAP. This is the duplicate warning when, oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Carol, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I was just going to explain further that this is the duplicate warning that you see when you re-upload a file and you had already submitted a file with those same cases. It's letting you know that you're correcting or you're changing over a case that had already been submitted. So Sarah, I'll let you take the rest of that now.
Yeah, that's correct. That's exactly right. So it's really intentional so that you know that the data is being updated in the system.
Great, thank you. Next question. If my current upload file only has warnings, do I need to do anything further with it, or can I consider it as final? As long as you verified that those warnings do not need to be corrected and you're satisfied with what those warnings are showing and you don't feel that there's any need to change data, or if you've already fixed up your data, if you've resubmitted, you don't need to do anything further. Your file will still be submitted. I suggest and recommend those warnings are letting you know that there may be an inconsistency in your data, so I suggest checking out ones that look unfamiliar to you, just to make sure you may have not inadvertently entered any data wrong. Next question. Is there a way to print the dashboard where you can actually see all of the data? Currently it just prints a screenshot and you can't see what you need to be by scrolling down.
So we can yes, thank you. We can show some of this, maybe the export functionality when Alex presents the MVR, because there are a variety of ways that you can export the different reports. So let's walk through that as a part of the demo. Okay.
Great, thank you. Next question. In regards to the dashboard, is there a way to export multiple reports, such as both demographics and operative? If not, can this functionality be included in the future?
So I do not think there's a way to do that currently, but we can evaluate that for inclusion in a future release.
Great, thank you. Looking at dashboards, they will export to PowerPoint. Could we have them export to Google Slides? Is IQVIA going to support G Suites? My company has transitioned to this and is no longer using Microsoft products.
There is a way to export to PDF, and I think there's a way to export, which Alex can show as well, to other, like the Google Excel equivalent. So we can show that during the demo also.
Great, thank you. Next question. Where is the issues list we were promised on Wednesday? I don't know if I should keep submitting tickets because these are known issues.
So we can get an issues list out. We'll make that a priority so it's out to you on Monday.
Right, and that would be posted on the resource library, correct, Sarah?
Yes, that's correct, yes.
Okay. I re-uploaded my file and noticed that there are some variables being reported as missing when in fact these were captured in our vended system. Isn't this an IQVIA issue rather than a vendor issue?
If you could please raise a ticket, I think that would be good. I'd want to look at more detail around the file and the specific examples.
Great, thank you. And for those folks who are just joining, we had some miscommunication in our timing. We had 2 times posted on the website, one for this webinar starting at 2 p.m. Central, and another area it stated 3 p.m. Central. This call is for 2 to 3, and we will stay on the line after 3 o'clock for those folks that join in. We'll restart this webinar at 3 p.m. For those folks who are joining in late or who may have missed the beginning or who will be joining late at 3 p.m. Central. So I apologize for the miscommunication, but we will repeat what we've already presented starting at 3 p.m. Please submit your questions in the Q&A, and apparently the upvote functionality is working. So if you can go into the Q&A section and see a question there that you may want to have, you agree with or you're looking for more clarity on, please upvote that question so we can answer that So the next question is, will the Duke Harvest Report still be published? When is 2019 Quarter 3 Harvest Report expected? So DCRI has told us that they should have that report out today. If that report is not out today, DCRI will be sending notifications to sites with the expected date, hopefully early next week. So it should be coming. It will be available on your DCRI portal. You will need to go and pull that report down from your portal as the portal closes March 31st. You'll need to pull down any historical reports that are up there. They will be transferred over to IQVIA, but not easily accessible for quite a while. So if you're using any of those older reports for quality improvement projects or looking to start a quality improvement project at your site, you're going to want to have those historical reports located on a drive, on your local drive. So that reporting portal closes late March, so go in as soon as you can and pull down those reports. There's a question in here regarding new definition added to post-op stroke. So we can talk on this. We're going to save this webinar for IQVIA questions, and I'm happy to answer this question offline. Next question. After report, have you sent out the general thoracic passwords yet? I do both registries. And I believe, Sarah, if you wanted to jump in here, but we are looking to send out a communication with an update on the progress of that coming up here. And Jane, I think you're on the line too regarding that. But Sarah, you can speak if you'd like on that one.
Sure. So we're currently in the beta testing phase for thoracic, and we've gotten some really great feedback from the beta testers. We're currently actioning some of that feedback, and we hope to release the database soon.
Okay, great. Thank you. After a report has been submitted and a report comes back, where do we find the information regarding the 2% mortalities for our registry to be included in the STAR report? And I know that functionality is being built by IQVIA. Do we have any further information on that one, Sarah?
I'll have to follow up on that one, so let me make sure we post that in the known issues and just updates in the library. I'll follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Please remove the warning error code into a separate column so that we can sort the data by warning error type. For instance, albumin out of range, bilirubin out of range. We could sort those out if we don't want to review them.
Right, so we've gotten this feedback quite a bit, so we're definitely looking to address this in a future release as well.
Great, thank you. How does IQVIA determine which upload to send to Duke on the 14th? Well, actually, that day has been pushed to the 17th right now, but could you address that one, Sarah?
Sure, so we're looking at the last updated date. So as was mentioned earlier, the data, if you're uploading multiple times, there's just one record in our system that continues to get updated. So we'll look at the last created or updated date of the records, and we will provide DCRI data cut based on the cutoff, which I believe is midnight Eastern Standard Time on the 17th of February.
Okay, great, thank you. And then I think Alex is ready to go with his environment. So Alex, if you're able to share your screen, you're welcome to do that. And we're going to take this moment to do some walkthroughs through the data quality report, the uploader, I think, data quality report, and the missing variable section.
Yep. So I will now share my screen, and I can get started with.
Yeah. Yep, there you go.
So let me go into our home screen first. So when you come up into our environment, this is the first page that you will land on. This is a summary of all your cases that have been uploaded for a specific facility. Up here on the top left, you can view your facility name. If there are more than one facilities, you will have the capability of changing them, but this is your reference number for your facility. If you go over here next to the upload, anything that has been uploaded will be shown down here. And in order to access the DQR for a specific upload, you will be clicking on View Reports, and this will come out with your DQR. This chart will show you any errors that you have. It'll be broken down. In this particular DQR, we have only errors, but it will be broken down into warnings, errors, and critical errors, and you will be able to see the cases down here at the bottom. Clicking on this link will take you to the individual case. So going off here, it will actually take you to the case form. It is broken down with these tabs on the right. So different areas will be clickable, and you will be able to see your case form. This is a UAT environment, so it is open at this moment, but these fields for the moment won't be editable. So you will not be making changes here. However, you can, at the moment, review the data using this area on the right and scrolling down the middle area. So that would be the data quality report and what's available right now. If we go back to here, this you will go to operational reports for the MBR as well as for the dashboard. So going to the MBR, it'll take you to this screen. This screen is limited to basically a date range as far as your parameters. So as long as I enter any date range here, I will be able to view. So this is the date format. You can also select it using the widget here at the bottom for whatever date. I will click on Apply Parameters, and my missing variable will show up. So this is the missing variable report. This is actually something that if you have a small screen, it's fairly useful. It's it's in our documentation, but if you click on Open here in a new window, this will show you an enhanced view of your risk-adjusted report. And similarly, for the dashboard, you can click on that and have that expanded into a nicer view. So wherever I click on my missing variables, once again, I'm going to get the cases down here at the bottom. So for each individual case, you will get this information. So if you go here into your file, this is the area where we can export based on the questions that were out earlier. So you have several options as to how you can export your data. You can visualize it into a PDF, a table, Microsoft Excel, which if you want to export just a table, this is our recommended approach. And you can also export to PowerPoint. So these are available to you within this screen in order for export.
And Alex, can you show, so if they're not using the Microsoft Office suite, if you're using, say, Google Docs, then, or Google Spreadsheet Editor, then File, Export, Table would be your recommended approach. And that will be editable in any spreadsheet editor.
Yes, that is correct. So if you're not using Microsoft Suite, you can just export the table, and yes, it is a simple table export that you'll be able to open with third-party software as well. So the other item that I wanted to show is here in filters, you have an additional number of filters here on the left that can be utilized. So this is your MBR. On the left, if there are any variables that are missing for risk adjustment, Proc ID, national quality, you can click on these as well. So going back into my operational reports, the next report that I wanted to give a walkthrough of is the participant dashboard. So the participant dashboard has two parameter areas. The first one will be for selecting a date range. This is based, again, on surgery date. So you can either select it from preloaded periods that we have here, or you can select your date range manually, similar to what was done in the MBR. In order to make this one a little bit differently, I'm going to select the time period from 1/1/2017 to 12/31/2019. Procedures. Here you have a variety of them that you can select. We have the option to select none or to select all. So when you select all, it'll automatically select all these procedures. If you select none, you will select fields that are not part of these procedures. And once you click Apply Parameter, this dashboard will run, and you will get your dashboard information. My recommendation is to, once again, right-click and click Open in a new window. From this window, however, if you wish to change parameters, this area up here will show you your parameters, and you can change the time period or the procedures and reapply those parameters. So you can go from this same page and alter your view. Now, if I open it in a new window, I get an expanded view. And this is maybe if you have limited real estate on your screen, this is something that you can utilize and get an expanded view. Similar to how the MBR works in this area, if I click on any of the values here where it says My Site, I will get my cases, and I'll be able to click and go to those cases. So if I click to open here, similarly, it will take me to the actual case form. So here it is, and it'll take me to my case form. Now, the other thing that you're going to see here on your right is the numbers from STS. This is a demo environment, so these numbers are not what would be in a production environment. However, the idea behind this column over here on the right is that it gives you the numbers for the overall program versus what you're looking at in your site. So even though you can select here, you will not be able to see cases. You can only see cases related to My Site. The areas are listed here on the left. So this is demographics. Then you will have your variable names and the values associated to them, and then the recorded values here on the right. So this can be done for every single one of these areas. Up at the top, you have some additional visualizations of the data. So if I want to see information, I can see here, I'll get a little pop-up, and it'll tell me what I'm looking at, incidents, currently filtering. So it'll take me directly here, and it'll tell me the number on my dashboard. So this visualization will directly take you over here, and you'll be able to see any of the related information. And this is My Site versus STS, and again, just showing that STS won't show you your number of cases. From up here.
Hi, Alex.
Yes.
This is Carol. Could I just interrupt you for a second before we move on? I'm seeing quite a few questions coming into the Q&A. I think they're just coming in now, but it looks like they don't have access to see the cases. They don't have anything that says cases on their dashboard.
Yeah, that's expected right now. So that view that Alex was showing earlier is something that you may see when we release the web UI updates. So apologies for any disconnects there. But that's a future state item. What you will see if you click the access case links is you'll see that same case information. So Right now, you don't see that full summary in quite that view that Alex showed, but you definitely can see it from the access case links like you see in the bottom of the screen right now.
Okay. And
Okay.
when did you say that? When did you say that that would be coming out? That update would be coming out, or how far in the future is that? Because it gets confusing when we don't want to confuse folks.
Yeah, so that's something that we're looking at as part of the July updates, where they can enter the cases directly without needing to upload them.
Okay, so that's great to know. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Yes, I've seen it in my environment, so I was not aware that it's not in production. So for now, yes, if you wish to access your case files, you can open them here or from the MDR, and you will still get that same view. Similarly, as for the MDR, if you go here to File in the dashboard and you click on Export, you will get visualization to image, formatting to PDF. If I click inside, I can also right-click here, click on Export, and I can export this to a table.
Okay.
So
you might want to go just make sure you just take your time explaining this, because this is all really brand new for everybody. They've never seen it before, so they're learning as you're talking. They're learning, and we're learning too over here at STS. So if we could just make sure we want them to have an opportunity for it to soak in as you're talking about it.
Okay.
Because you know it really well. We're still learning it. Thanks.
Okay, no, that is perfectly fine. So yes, both areas you can do your exports. There is a right-clicking directly on the image, or going up here and clicking File and then exporting. So it's kind of doing the same thing, just two different ways of going around your data. I can show a couple more of the dashboards, but reports, but you will get a very similar view. Your main areas again are divided up here. Your charts here are the summary of your variables and your values associated to those variables, and then on the bottom your access case screen. This is information on your case that is available at a glance. So if you're it'll give you the variable option that you're looking at. So if it's missing, it'll show up like that. If it's no, for example, it will show here, and it'll tell you the name of your variable. So this is in order for you not to have to necessarily enter a specific case. If you go with either the record ID, or if you're interested by the surgery date, these are available identifiers before you have to actually access the case form. Mind you, the case form will contain data. It's not limited to a single report, meaning if you're accessing it from valve surgery, and I go here to this area,
if you get a chance, Alex, could you please go over the filtering one more time?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'll head back to filters now. So one thing that I want to point out is that the link itself won't take you to the variable that you want to look for. So you will have to search your variable. At this time, that's not functionality that's provided. So notice that even though I'm not in the demographics portion, I'm actually in valve surgery, I would have to go here to valve surgery and find my variable. You're always going to be taken to demographics. So all of them are available here on the right. You will just have, when you access the case form at this moment in time, you will just be taken to the demographics, the first area of the case form, and you will have to search for your variable. Going one more time, I can head back to the param. So once again, parameters can be shown here, or I'm gonna reopen and do this one more time for y'all. So over here in your operational reports page, you want to expand here. This one is already expanded, but if you're going to dashboard for participants, you need to expand and click on the link. And then the two main parameter filters are right here. So in order to get the parameters, you can select a pre-selected period from this dropdown, which is divided into different combined quarters. So, for example, you will see that this one starts on 1/1. You have all of these starting on 1/1/2017 and then ending in different quarters of 2019. So this is just divided data, and it's if you want to pre-select this quickly from here, you can, or I can go here, and I usually like to type in the values. You can just you can also select them from the widget up here, right? I can say the 30th, or I can say the 31st. Up here, you will get a list of months, and you will get a list of years on your right-hand side. So that's for date selection. If you see, I can select it that way. And once you've selected a valid period, this will turn blue once you've either selected them on the right or on the left. Then for procedures, I can select any number of these. The tabs are located one under the other, so if you want to select an individual tab, you can. You can select then different procedures here on the bottom, whichever one that you're interested in. Again, for the purpose of this demo, I'm selecting all. Once I select all, these are actually disabled unless I unselect all, and then it opens up my other filters on the bottom. If I made a mistake and I want to just clear everything, I can clear the parameters and start off fresh. But once you've selected whatever filters you're interested in, you click on Apply Parameters, and once again, you are taken to this, to your dashboard with all of your reports here on the left.
Great, thank you so much, Alex. That was a lot of information, and we're going to repeat this webinar in about 20 minutes. We're going to still take time now to answer some questions, to get through some of the questions, but we are going to repeat this webinar in 20 minutes, and we'll be sure to walk through this all again here. So Sarah, I'm going to jump back into the questions here. We have quite a few that are looking for our attention, so I hope you're ready.
Sure, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. I've uploaded my data, and it seems like fields I have filled in are not filling in our IQVIA when I have uploaded according to my missing variable report, and then they provided the case number.
Yeah, we can look into that case for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question. It would be nice if the message section on the warning error reports wasn't so busy and cluttered with the participant ID, etc., so we could easily sort the warnings and delete the issues we want to ignore. So that is something we worked with. We had Cindy Piotr, one of our core group members who most of you are probably familiar with, came over to the STS office yesterday, and we spent quite a bit of time with Cindy going through what's showing up on the missing variable report and on the DQR, and she helped us realize where we need to make some improvements, and I believe that those choices to filter, that's what's being worked on right now. I don't have a time frame on that, but Sarah may be able to work on it, may be able to speak on that further, but we are aware that we needed to provide some better filtering options, sorting options on that form.
That's correct. So we're looking to enable some filtering on the report, and then I think there's been several requests to kind of move the patient and record ID into other columns, so that's something that we'll look to deliver in a future release as well.
Great, thank you. Next question. An issue I'm having when submitting is that the missing variable report isn't updating with our new submittals. I have cleaned up and resubmitted twice, but the missing variable report doesn't update. It's not showing the updated information.
So this should be a near real-time update. So if you could please raise a ticket so that we can look into your specific example, that would be helpful.
Great, thank you. Next question. Regarding error mortality date reference number STS 1829, no time frame for issue correction per IQVIA. Will this error prevent me from receiving my STAR report?
So this is actually something we're targeted to address this weekend. So you should be able to resubmit the data after an update this weekend in the system.
Now, Sarah, I have a question regarding the update that's coming, the patch that's coming through this weekend. Do sites need to resubmit all of their everything that's been submitted if they're good to go? Do they need to resubmit files, or what's your suggestion? What's your recommendation for that?
Right. So if we make an update in the system, it will apply to all of the data that you've already submitted, but the DQR will not represent it's always going to look as it did when you submitted the data the first time. So if you want to double check your data, you can resubmit it, but it's not required.
Okay, thank you for answering that. I think that provides a lot of clarity and guidance for sites. Next question, if we made changes to past records, can we submit them as well? IQVIA supports version 2.81 and 2.9. So if you've made if you made changes to those records within those two versions, you could resubmit them to IQVIA to update your files. Next question. I have a case that the 30-day follow-up didn't upload after it was entered into my third-party vendor. Should I re-upload?
I'm not sure I'm totally following the question, but yes, you can re-upload. If something was missing in your original upload, you can re-upload the information.
Okay, thank you. How do we know our data passed, even with messages that are inaccurate, stating that the discharge date is after the mortality date? So that, Sarah addressed this, and this is one of the fixes that's going to be patched in this weekend. Next question. Will the go-live date be changed considering the vendors have only been given 5 months to develop, certify, and roll out a new version? So IQVIA has, that's a great question. No, the go-live date is going to be July 1st. IQVIA built 6 versions within the last 8 months, so we hope that the vendors are able to build this one version in 5 months and do a good job at it. We will work with the vendors to make sure that they are that they have all the information they need to get this done correctly, and we're in the process of setting up calls and things like that with the vendors to assist them. Next question, we did this one. I don't have the heading case in my IQVIA account. Am I supposed to have that?
I think that's the same question, Carol. It's just that case tab, so I think we addressed that one also.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
There is a meeting on the latest STS website scheduled for Monday, February 14th. Is that for Friday, February 14th or Friday, February 17th? So let's see what we did here. Am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if we had some issues with this today where we had some inaccurate. So it's February 14th at 3 p.m. and that's going to be on Friday, February 14th. This schedule needs to be updated probably still. Nope. Oh, I see on here. We'll have them update to read February 14th. Thank you for pointing that out. Next question. When will we be able to know what our % of 30-day completion status is for the STAR rating? Do you have
so I think that's yeah, I think I'll have to follow up on that one as well. I think that's a future report. So let me follow up, and I will get back to you on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can we please get this demonstration instructions in writing? So we have a few videos of how-to videos posted on the website under the resources. I would refer you to those, and then there's also instructions in writing also provided on the resource page. And you could also refer to these webinars. They're posted, recorded and posted as well. We will redo this webinar again at 3 o'clock in about 14 minutes here for folks who may be joining on late because of our miscommunication, which I apologize for. And we'll restart this webinar again, and we'll be sure to walk through those demonstrations a little bit more slowly, realizing that this is the first time a lot of people are seeing this, and we're just getting used to it, how the functionality works. Next question, is the dashboard customizable to have a functionality in which you would only look at data on certain indicators? I'll let you take that one, Sarah.
Yeah, I think we have the procedure filter, the Proc ID filter. I'm not sure, Alex, can you speak to that, or are there ways to filter by other indicators? I'll follow up with you on that if Alex isn't there. Let me follow up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So not at this moment, it's not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Next question. In general, the screens are very hard to read, fonts are small, and 2 gray colors are muted. Can the scrolls be more visible?
We can take that back. We can take that feedback back to the team.
All right, great. Thank you. Next question. Please review missing variables filter. How does one look by field overall missing rather than by record? For example, how does one get a list of last follow-up dates missing fields?
Alex, do you want to take that, please?
I'm sorry, can we repeat that?
Please
question?
review missing, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Sure. That's all right. Please review missing variable filters. How does one look by field overall missing rather than by record? For example, how does one get a list of last follow-up dates missing fields?
So the question is for a specific field, they want to see everything that is missing. Is that what the question is asking about?
Yeah, I think what they're looking for is how do you look at, right now I think they saw it by record, the missingness by record, but they're looking for missingness with the per field. So it would show if you had the last follow-up date listed, and then it would show how many records that field is missing in.
So
I think that's a functionality that's currently available.
That is the MVR. So I can actually share my screen again and maybe clarify that really quick.
Sure.
If that is that's fine. If I go back to my missingness report, so this missingness percentage tells you overall how much is missing, and these are the actual variables. So for conflicts, for example, which indicates if there were complications, in this one we have 5 out of 5 missing. So when I click here, it'll tell me out of these, I have 5 of these variables missing. If I have on this one, for example, IAPD when, right, IAP when inserted, I have 1 out of 5 missing. So my missing percentage is 20%. And down here, I can see the specific case. But the, what primarily drives the report is your number of missing variables. So this is what you're looking at, missing values within a single variable.
Oh, that's really helpful, Alex. Thank you. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to questions. I emailed tech support yesterday with some issues. I have not received a ticket number. Should I call instead?
No, they should be getting back to you with a ticket number.
Okay, thank you. It can take up to 24 hours to get a reply back on Tier 1, so they should be getting back pretty soon, I would think, right, Sarah? If it's within this day, I hope. Okay, good. Next question. I am new to my role as the STS Data Manager. How can I verify what records have already been submitted? This is to know what records need to be submitted to make sure there are no gaps so our facility's STS ratings are not affected. So Justin, I would suggest that if you, whoever was in your role prior, if they've made a submission for Harvest for 2019, which contained data through September 30th, 2019, and you have not made any changes to those records, that you should just be able to submit data from October 1st. But I don't know if in the IQVIA platform, and Sarah, you probably are able to speak on it better, is there a way to look at what records were included in the previous submission?
So I think currently it's really in the dashboard and then the missing variable report, you would be able to see the data that has been submitted previously. So the missing variable report that Alex just showed might be a good place to go and just get an overview of the data that's been submitted for your PID.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next question. What will be the alternative to the PDF STS National report we usually get from DCRI? I usually send this out to the surgeons and our executive team. Will this only be available in these dashboards and then need to be exported? I find the dashboard a little cluttered and not as easy to read as the PDFs we currently get. So the PDFs are going away after this report that's due out from today, hopefully from DCRI, and you will need to download the data from the dashboard. We will help you with that with the next the next quarterly report that's due out on the dashboard, the next benchmarked period, which will include this data and will probably be available late March or early April. And we'll walk through how to download some of those needed reports for your executive team. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I would agree with all your comments.
Okay, thanks. For the procedure category, can you please rename none to other in order to match the STS categories? Also, can you make a time frame for 1 year, since cabbages are a 1-year time frame?
We can look at that for inclusion in a future release.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question. With the upcoming deadline, I feel I can safely say that the majority of data managers are only concerned with making sure the data we are submitting are getting into the system as accurately as possible. Any education, especially brand new education or education of future rollouts of the finer points of the new program, should be held until we feel comfortable with the basic function of the new system. And certainly agree with that, and we will focus these webinars on things that are pertinent to you right now, so you can get your data as clean as possible and understand how the DQR process works. So thank you for that feedback. Next question. My last upload of 570 cases turned into 2,280. I have been in contact with Joe from IQVIA. If this isn't corrected by 217, will my upload be kept as looking as though I had 2,200 cases?
So I think there's a couple of these instances, and we're actively looking into it, and we'll have it corrected prior to 217. We should have updates early next week.
Okay, thanks. Question, receiving critical errors on tricuspid, annual size, diameter must be between 1.5 and 10. Called IQVIA, they say I need to contact STS, please advise. So this should be just a warning. It shouldn't be a critical error, and I think maybe can, Sarah, I don't know when this was reported.
Let me check on this one. Yeah, it's possible that this is going this weekend, but I will follow up. Let me just look at it while we're continuing to talk.
Great, thank you. Next question. I received an error warning for a prolonged event time of 24 hours. The training manual reads prolonged event time is greater than 24. Is it 24 or greater than 24? So it's anything over 24 hours. If it's even 1 minute over 24 hours, that's a prolonged event time. But it should be, I think this is probably one of those, Sarah, where we were seeing the times that were exact were kind of causing that warning to fire. Okay. So, I can follow up on this one also. Okay, and if it is showing up as a warning and your times are correct, I would probably just stick with what you've abstracted, and IQVIA will work on checking this out further. Next question. I emailed my issues to the help desk and never received a response. Not even okay. I called on Thursday and found out my ticket had been escalated to Tier 2, and I was given a number. No number was issued with my first request to the help desk.
So I think I can follow up on that. They should be issuing numbers to your first request, so we'll reiterate that to the help desk. Thank you. Okay,
thank you. Next question. Can you please repeat what you said about deleting patients? What do we need to email to whom?
Sure, I can send it out after the meeting. We can post it in the FAQs, but if you could just send your record ID, the participant ID, and the patient ID, you can provide that to the help desk, so just raise a ticket related to it.
Okay. Thank you. And when you say you'll post it in the FAQs, that's the resource library?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
The resource library.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's good. No, I just want to make sure I would get confused. So yeah, I get confused easily, but that's a different story. Is there going to be downtime this weekend?
Yes. So we're targeting approximately go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
So 30-minute downtime. And this will probably be at midnight tonight, so midnight Eastern Standard Time, to minimize impact to the end users.
Great, thank you. Next question. Do I understand correctly that the harvest reports, the 300-page reports, are going away? Yes, that's correct. So the report overview will be posted in the resource library on the IQVIA platform. You'll be using your dashboards for your quarterly benchmarked for your benchmarked data that will be updated quarterly. And we will walk through how to download those reports, how to download your dashboards for reporting purposes. Next question. Some of the warnings continue to be confusing as it may state something is missing, such as AFib procedure, when actually an AFib procedure has not been done.
So I think if you could raise a ticket if you're seeing a warning for something that was not completed, that would be helpful.
Okay. Thank you. And we're going to take questions for, we'll answer questions for the next 3 minutes here, and then we're going to restart this webinar at 3 o'clock. For folks who may just be joining, we apologize that there was a confusion in the timing of the webinar. We will repeat this webinar again in about 3 minutes. If people are still on, if nobody's on, then we're not going to stay on, but we'll be here. FYI, using Google Chrome helped my full year of data be accepted. So I think that's really great feedback. Thank you. I thought the mortality was fixed.
So the issue that's being fixed, hold on one second, it was 1.8. Yeah, the issue that's being fixed this weekend is where the date of discharge can't be greater than the mortality date. There might have been other mortality-related items that were addressed previously.
Great, thank you. A warning was given at upload, cardiac surgery and surgery at cardiogenic shock, but it was not marked cardiogenic shock. This is incorrect. They both were. I contacted IQVIA. Tech stated that they were aware of this and it will be fixed. Has it been fixed yet?
I'll need to follow up on that one. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carol.
No, this is one that we have been, we saw from quite a few sites where the cardiogenic shock, where it was entered correctly, but it was firing that it was incorrect.
Okay, I'll follow up. Cardiogenic shock. Yep.
What is the usual turnaround time for tech support to respond when a ticket is submitted via email? The typical time is
sorry.
24 hours, right, Sarah?
Yes, yes,
okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to let you answer some of these, sorry. When is the individual provider reports expected? So the surgeon level composite reports were released, I believe that's last week, whichever week that was of the last week, the week of the annual meeting. If your provider is interested in receiving those, they need to fill out a consent. And I ask that you can reach out to me if you need that consent. I can send you over the link to it. And my email is I'll put my email in the I put my email in the chat box. Okay, next question. What is TIBCO Cloud Spotfire reports on operative mortality, ODE ratio, and risk-adjusted rates as seen in the video? Oh, so those are, is this speaking about the video that was shown at the annual meeting? This is regarding, I think, probably what's coming in the future regarding the longitudinal dashboards. Does that sound correct to you, Sarah?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So that's a feature that should be coming in the future. We're working, IQVIA and STS are working to get those provided. Okay. Should be within, and the next question is, when will those longitudinal Spotfire ODE ratio and risk-adjusted rates become available on the IQVIA platform? And I think we're looking to do that. It will be available this year. Tentatively this year is what I'm understanding. I think we're still working with IQVIA and figuring and working that through. Mortality issues resolved. Our totals don't match yours in IQVIA.
So I think if you could raise a ticket on that, and I will follow up as well. But it would be good to have just a little bit more information.
Great, thank you. Okay, next question. All of my warnings were due to lab values being out of range. On the most recent document that came out with the training manual that consisted of just FAQs, the first FAQ stated that you should edit your values to stay in the range. I would think STS would want actual values. It isn't unusual for a value to be out of range. Who can I talk to about this? So interestingly, I just reached out to our to Dr. Dave Shahan and Sean O'Brien, who is our statistician over at DCRI regarding this. And the way it's correct that you should enter, Dr. Shahan says to enter either the highest or lowest allowable value for values that fall out of range. It's not that we don't want actual values, but if you don't enter a value, that amount becomes a normal value for the missing values when it is in one of the risk-adjusted variables. So in order to risk adjust it appropriately, we would want to have the highest available value. But Marina, if you'd like to email me, I can walk you through that further. And this is probably something we'll talk about on an upcoming webinar. Okay, I'm going to stop here and see if anybody else, and I guess we're going to restart this webinar for folks that may be joining now at 3 o'clock. People are welcome to stay on, or if you are just joining, thank you for joining. I apologize. This is Carol from the STS. I apologize that we had a mix-up with the timing. I'm happy to have you join now, and we will walk through everything again, seeing how many people join on. And I'm just going to wait a few minutes here to see if what we're left with. If that's
Carol,
okay, Sarah. Hi, Dr. Wormuth.
That's great.
That person that had the outer range value, can we know what that is? Because honestly, we set the highs and lows to be ridiculously out of whack.
High and low. Yeah, we sure do. And it's interesting because we seem to get those questions, and they're usually just right over or right under the ranges. But we do have somewhere you're looking at the value, what they're supposed to be set as. If you're using milliliters and you're not converting it correctly, that causes issues. So that's why we have those values, and then we instruct the data managers to ensure that they're using the correct units for those values, because we have seen that. So that's where that was. Do you have any feedback on that? Here, I had a CO2 on ABGs that was below range and had to enter the lowest. Okay. This is Carol from STS. Dr. Wormuth, I don't know if you're still there or not, or I may have lost you. This is Carol from STS. Okay, thank you. It's 3 o'clock Central, 3:04 Central Time. We're going to repeat the webinar we just had for 2 o'clock. I apologize for the miscommunication in time. If you are on the call and you'd like to stay on with us, be happy to have you. I'm going to wait just another minute or two to see who joins, and then we can start. Okay. So I think we should probably just get started. We have 240 people on. Sarah, are you okay with going ahead?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So thanks everybody for joining, and if you're staying on from a call, you're left over from the previous call, thanks for staying on. We'll go through this one more time and answer the questions that you may have. So on the phone with me, I have Sarah, Alex, and Jeanette from IQVIA. And then we have from STS, I have Donna McDonald, Jane Hahn, and Leanne Jones, and myself, Carol Crone. And Dr. Wormuth is joining us also. Dr. Wormuth is our consultant as we transfer over to the IQVIA platform. He's also the chair of the Informatics Task Force for STS. So this call will be to answer your questions. We'll give you a current first we'll give you a current status update, go over your support resources, and then look for to answer your questions that are coming in. If you are submitting a question and you've already submitted it to IQVIA, please include your ticket or case number so that IQVIA can refer to that. The data specs for version 4.20 have been released. The software specs should be coming out in the next few weeks. And the GoLive date for that version is July 1st. And then we have the webinars and the transition resources available on the STS database homepage. So I'm going to hand this over to Sarah Kraft from IQVIA. She's over the project, over this whole big transition for us, and she's going to give us a current status update. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay. Thanks very much, Carol. I just wanted to provide a few comments. One, just to provide the update that currently, as of noon today, we've successfully uploaded 398,000 records into the new system. So huge volume of data that's going into the system over a very short period of time. Also wanted to just touch on some of the key feedback points that we've gotten through these user group sessions and also through communication with our support. One, there's often a question on how you remove records if you want to delete something. So we will post to the resource library instructions for this, but if you want to send an email to our support desk, just including your participant ID and then the record ID and the patient ID for the records that you would like removed from the system, we can help you with that. There's also a question regarding infinite loading. So this is something that we're currently working through with our team and hope to have an update shortly. And then finally, I know there's a lot of questions regarding a warning that there is an existing record which is being updated. So this is essentially intentional. It's the way our system works to notify you as a data manager that there is an existing record that's getting updated. So it's not an error or an issue with the system. It's just a notification, so you're aware of that. So those were just the key highlights I wanted to make. So thanks very much, Carol. I'll pass it back to you.
Great, thank you. And we have Alex on the line. Alex is one of the business analysts from IQVIA. He's going to give a walkthrough for us on the platform, on the DQR and on the dashboard. And Alex, just let me know when you're ready to go ahead, and otherwise I'm going to go on to the support plan. And I'll wait to hear from you, and then let me know and we can switch it over to you. IQVIA support plan is here. Oh, go ahead, Alex. Take it away, and then we can get back to this when you're through. Thank you.
Yep.
And remember, we've never seen this before.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Just sharing. Just making sure I share the right tab. So give me just one moment. All right, so hopefully everyone can see my screen, and
Yes, we can see it, Alex.
okay, perfect. So here we go. This is the I'm going to start with our uploader function. So this is where we can see the DQR related to the data uploads that we have done. So right below where you have the uploader, you have your upload history. In your upload history, if you wish to access the DQR, you can click on the link that says View Reports, and this will take you over to your to the DQR. Now, depending on the data that you have, you will have validations and messages here on the left, your validation alert summary. In this one, we had errors only, but you can have warnings and you can have critical errors. Clicking on the chart will open your DQR. It'll show you your validations by case. So all of these errors that are here are for these specific cases on the right. Clicking on the actual case link itself will take you to the case form. So this will be your case form. You will always land on the demographics page as it's currently set up. And this will be a read-only environment where you can view this and you can see whatever information has been entered for this case. On the right, you will have multiple tabs that are based on the case form. So if you want to see information related to valve surgery, for example, I can click on this and I can see the information as I scroll down here. So this is your case form and what you will see. So this is essentially the DQR. As I said, you can click, you can hover over. If you cannot read the message, you can always hover over, and it'll come out complete here. So You can, this is also a neat feature. You can expand your column if necessary. If you wish to see further information, this is fully scrollable, so you can go left and right, up and down. But hovering over a specific message, if you want to see it, it will come complete in an instant pop-up. So,
hi, Alex. I just want to interject here for a second, because this is where we have had quite a bit of feedback. On this message section where we have record ID, and then we have patient ID, and then we have the type of warning that's firing, IQVIA is working now to split out these columns, so you would be able to sort, and Sarah, if you wanted to jump in here, or Alex, you want to jump in here a little bit further about that, but we are working on sorting out these columns so they're a little bit easier to sort upon when you're looking at your validation errors. Because a lot of sites may have the same validation errors, especially for the aorta procedures where we have missingness on the measurements. So you would just be able to sort through that, the type of error instead of having all the information in the one line, in the one cell.
So that is correct. That is something that we're actually working on in order to give you better sorting capabilities. So yes. As is now, this is currently what's available, but I am aware that we do have that in our backlog in order to enhance the system with that.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So, and that'll be the we're working on that for the this panel in general. So we'll be updating them. You will see this same record panel in the MBR and the dashboard. So when I show them, you will, even though the data in it might be different, it'll be a similar view. So yeah, we are working on updating those and making them more user-friendly. Now, the next area I wanted to show is the operational reports. So your operational reports are the missing variable and the ACSD participant dashboard report. So these are actually drop-downs. So yes, you can't click on here directly. For this one, you have to drop it down and actually click on the link. So I'll go through missing variable first. In missing variable, the only parameter that we have is the surgery dates and the date range. So you can select them from in here, right? I can select any date, or you can feel free to actually type in the date. I'm gonna do it in that manner, but you can feel free to certainly select the date from down here if that's what you, if that's your preference. So applying these parameters, you will get to your missing variable report, which is right here. If you wanted to, for any reason, change the parameters, you can expand here and you will get a similar view to your parameters page. And from here, you can change the parameters, click on apply, and it'll refresh the page with your new parameter. Now, if you are looking at this in a limited screen like the one that I have right now, which is my laptop screen, this is, it's a little difficult to see. However, if you right-click down at the tab, and this is functionality that's also available in the dashboard, and I'll show it as well. But if you click here, this will open a new page, and it'll maximize your report. So this gives you a cleaner view of it. Now, in the actual missing variable report, what you will see is the data version, the surgery year, then the short name for your variable, and name is the long name for your variable. It'll tell you what the missing percentage is, and it'll tell you the variable and how many out of that variable are missing. So if it's 5 out of 5, it means that all 5 variables are missing for ADG. And I can get the detail on my cases down here. Similar to what we've seen before, this is where you can click on and see the actual case form. So if I click on here, it'll take me to the case form. And this is the area that we mentioned that we want to enhance in the DQR and possibly here as well. So this is subject to change, but one of the things that is definitely, you're definitely going to have is the ability to access the case form. Now, when you do access the case form, and I just want to cover this, it will not take you directly to the variable. It will take you to the demographics landing screen. So if you're here, you will have to find your variable using this the tab menu and looking for the variable within it. So that's just a quick FYI. Now, in the report, if variables have parent-child relationships and are not needed, you have this right here where your denominator will change. So if only two variables are missing, based on the report logic, then it'll say, okay, you're missing two of these variables that are relevant here, or you're missing 1 out of 5, like in this case, and your missing percentage will reflect the number that you're missing. So that's the missing variable report. Now for your participant report, you actually will have two parameters that you need to fill out. So same page, different link, and you access this. So the first thing that you're going to see is the parameters are going to be minimized. You actually need to click on them to expand them and go to the date range to select them. They're in red because I have not selected anything yet. Once I select something, these indicators will turn to blue. That's how you know you're ready to run your report. So one of the first things is your reporting period. Similar to how we had our missing variable report, we have a date range, and this is a selectable date range. You could select your dates on the calendar widget, or you can choose to directly enter the date. Here, in order to show you the other functionality, I'm going to select one of the pre-selected periods. So similarly, instead of entering it here, the actual date, I just looked them up and entered my reporting period. Then you go to your procedures. So the procedures here are the filters based on the procedure logic. And down here, you have several options. You can select a single procedure, or you can select multi-select. You can say none for cases that are not considered any of these procedures. Or for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to be selecting all. Notice that once I've selected, both of my indicators have turned blue, which means I'm ready to run my report. So I will apply parameters. It's going to take a second to load. And here's my data. So notice that on this one, again, very limited view space in this view if you're viewing it on a smaller screen. However, you can right-click and open in a new page and get the larger visualization. Just want to show this on the previous one as well. If you click on here, you will see your procedures. And you can change them also from this view. So you don't need to rerun the report from scratch. You can come up here and you can change any variables that you would like to change and click on Apply Parameters. And that'll rerun the report with those parameters. So once you have the expanded view, this is the participant dashboard. It's divided into multiple reports. So first thing here on the right, you can select from any of these reports, and it'll change what your the report that you're looking at. The report name will be here on the left. Then the variables, the selection for the variables is this column, and then the actual values associated with that variable for the number of cases. So this is for your site. This is for the whole of STS. Now, if you click on the My Site area, if I click on this one, I'm going to see the cases pop out down here and the variable that I'm looking at. So if, for example, I want to see these two cases right here, I'm going to get the link to access the case, the surgery date, the variable I'm looking at, the variable option, which is the value, and the report name. So again, I can access the case form in this area. Notice that you can try to select STS, however, no data will come out. You cannot view the individual records from STS, but you can view the trending of my data against the data in STS. This is a demo environment, so this is not the same numbers you would see in production. However, it is the same format, and the data for all facilities, right, for STS, the program, will be here. On the top, we have several graphs that are relevant. So you see my site versus STS and how it's divided. If I click on the my site, it takes me directly to that variable value, or that variable option, and I can actually see how the case is here. So this is a quick link into these variables here. Now, one more thing I wanted to cover is how to extract this data from this dashboard. So there's actually a couple of ways that you can go about it. If you directly right-click on here, you get given the option to do an export. So you can do the visualization to PDF. You can export to table, and export to table will basically extract this as a table. So if you're not using Microsoft Excel, you can actually just export the table. You will lose some of the formatting that's here, but you can definitely do that. Or if you export to Microsoft Excel, which is for the Excel software, if you're using the Microsoft Suite, then this is an option for you. Now,
I think you can also pop that table out, right? If you maximize visualization,
yeah.
See that, just for people to know, I know this table is quite long, so you can pop it out like that if you would like to see it in a larger view.
Yes,
Thanks.
and yes, thanks, Sarah. So yes, you can have, and you can also restore the previous size. So if you want to see the table larger, that's how you would do it. It's in here in the same area. So maximize and minimize, same area. Now the other area for exporting is here. So here in File, you can click on Export, and you have a couple of additional options that are not available in that right click. One of them being Export to Microsoft PowerPoint. So if you want to export this into a PowerPoint format, you would click here, and your data would be exported into a Microsoft PowerPoint. So that is it right now for our participant dashboard and MBR. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and then I'm gonna throw the ball back. So Carol, if you want to take it from here.
Oh, sure. Sorry about that. Answering emails. Okay. All right. Thank you, Alex. So this is just so for folks who are on the call and who may have joined a little bit late, this call is a repeat of a 2 o'clock call that occurred. This is the STS Adult Cardiac User Group call for February 7th. It was originally scheduled for 2 p.m. We had inadvertently had the wrong time up on the website for one location where we listed the times. So we are repeating the same call that occurred at 2 o'clock now. So this is a repeat call. And we're just about through it here, and then we're going to get to some of these questions that have been sitting in the questions and answer category. You can upvote questions that are in the Q&A box, so if you see a question in there that looks like something you would ask, please upvote it, and we'll get to those sooner than the other questions. On the screen now is the IQVIA support plan. Tier 1 support will start by telephoning this number, the 833 number, or emailing ststechsupport@iqvia.com. You'll get connected to Tier 1 level support, which handles things like login and password information, or simple things related to that don't require a support lead or system application support. If it's something that requires elevation, Tier 1 will close the Tier 1 level ticket, and they will submit, they will open a Tier 2 level ticket. So you would receive an email with a number on it, a case number on it, or a ticket number on it, saying that Tier 1 level was closed and a Tier 2 support ticket was open. Those requests can take a few days, may take up to a few days to get a response. So I ask for patience in the process, but if you're feeling that it's taking longer than then necessary, or if it's taking more than 2 days or so, to reach back out to IQVIA just for a status update. Tier 1 also submits questions over to STS if it's related to the analytics side of the database, or if it's more operational about participant contact forms, or adding folks or removing folks from your participant. They'll send those over to STS, and we'll reach out to you as soon as possible. If it's an analytical question we're not able to answer at STS, we will forward it over to DCRI, since they are managing our analytics. We also will work with vendors if it's a vendor question, or if there's a vendor issue related to your submission. So next, here are your resources. We have the STS National Database webpage, which I'll walk you through here real quick. This is under the STS.org, Registries and Research, STS National Database. You have the four arms here of the database. And then if you scroll down, you have access to the webinars. This is where you'll find the adult cardiac upcoming webinars. And then past webinars, you just click on this here to open that up and see the previously recorded webinars along with PDFs of the slides if they're available. And then also on this National Database landing page, if you scroll down a little bit, this is where you ask the clinical questions. You submit that here, and for adult cardiac, Melinda Offer is managing that clinical question email. So she works on those questions, and then we have the database transition resources, along with other things. To update your participant contact, if you need to add somebody or remove somebody from your site, it's the database forms participant contact form, and then you would fill this out. For the transition resource list, this is your transition resource documents for the transition over to IQVIA. We do have videos posted. You just click that box there, and you have the dashboard and uploader and DQR review. So you can look at those. We'll walk you through step by step. And then we have also on this page is the uploader instructions and the dashboard overview. The uploader instructions are step-by-step instructions written out for you to get through the uploader process. The general feedback form is a form we would ask for you to fill out if you have general feedback you'd like to provide. I don't suggest filling this form out if you have a direct question you need help with on a submission or an uploader or reporting functionality that you need to get an answer on right away. This is more just to give us feedback about changes you would like to see, or any comments you have regarding the current state of the platform. So that's there, and then I'm going to go back, get out of the screen. And then we have, again, the STS tech support at IQVIA.com with their phone number here, and then the National Database Feedback Form, which we just spoke about, and the other additional resources that are available on the STS National Database landing page. I'm going to switch over to questions now, so please use the Q&A function. Apparently there is an upvote question, an upvote function, so please upvote if you see a question that looks like you would want that to be answered. We'll answer as many questions as possible in the next half an hour, and we want your feedback, so please submit your questions so we can get to them. The next adult cardiac webinar right now we have planned is for February 12th at 3 p.m., and then we have a February 14th call at 2 p.m. Right now this is scheduled for Friday, February 14th, and it's rescheduled from the February 17th call, which apparently is President's Day, and I didn't realize that STS and I don't have to work that day. So February 14th will be a user call prior to the submission close. So I'm going to go over to the questions, and Sarah, if you're ready, I'm going to start firing through some of these and see how many we can get to. Okay.
Sounds good.
Next question. Thanks. I understand that individual surgeons can request their own credentials to access their reports. However, as a facility with multiple surgeons, we would get access to the individual surgeon report that gives us an idea on each surgeon's performance. No, you will not be able to see, I don't believe you'll be able to see your fellow surgeons within that facility. You would have access to your MPI level data. Sarah, did you want to clarify on that? Because I think that's something that we're still building out, is that MPI level access
That's correct. So right now it would be at the facility level, not at the surgeon level. We're working on that additional detail.
Great, thank you. Next question. In the past, our results were compared to STS and like facilities. Will the like facilities be deleted? No, the like facilities will be available after the first benchmarked period. So after, right now what you see on your dashboard is your site's data, the STS from the last reporting period. And then what will be available after this benchmarked data is updated, right, probably early April. You'll see the benchmarked, your like groups will reappear on that screen, and you'll be able to compare to your like facilities. Anything to add on that, or did I?
You got it. You got it.
Okay, great. So STS wants us to go in and make all values of labs, et cetera, within the normal range. So we'll talk more about this, Beth, in the upcoming webinar. I don't want to take up time here when we have questions regarding IQVIA, but we do have clarification in the training manual, and I suggest if you have questions on this to refer to the training manual, and we will talk about it in the upcoming webinar. Next question. It might be helpful to have them go through what we would do. How is it that we would be doing our work, kind of step-by-step, uploading, then cleaning the data, et cetera. So if you would refer to the previous webinars, we did do step-by-step instructions with how to upload the data, how to click and drag your .dat file into that uploader, the screens you should expect to repair. You should expect to see what your data quality report is going to look like. Those are Melanie on previous webinars. Melanie's on this call, but previous webinars Melanie did go over that. And we also have step-by-step instructions on those resources that I had just showed on the STS database landing page, so please refer to those. Next question, SICU length of stay would be incorrect if we just put the highest in range. We need to use values that are out of range to note patient issues. So Michelle, if you could please tell me what SICU length of stay you're having that's an out of range that we have listed. I don't believe we have a parameter that we've seen where this length of stay had been where a discrepancy occurred because of the high level that we have in there. So you have there's two values. There's I'll show you here because I think we're just going to get more questions and I don't want to cause confusion. So in the STS database under Adult Cardiac Surgery Database, additional data collection resources, under the data specifications, and I'll go here to sorry for the scrolling, everybody. So for these values, you'll have a low and high value. Those values are the expected. They're set, so if you have the IFR, if you have a value that's lower than 0.00 or a value that's higher than 1.0, then it's not going to accept that data. And these are ranges that are set that are really unusual that you would ever see a value below 0.0 or higher than 1.0. For length of stay, I'll show you another where we have the four. One second here. So if we're going to look at ICU hours, which is 6610. You have an unusual high, so you have a usual range low, which is 1, and a usual range high, which is 300. So your low value and high value, you have a high value of 5,000. So just as an example, this is 208 days. So if you have a patient in the ICU for 208 days, I would like you to reach out to us because we may have an issue here with our high and low values, but it's really unusual that you would have a patient in the ICU for that long. That's why these ranges are set the way they're set. The usual low range and the usual high ranges are things that fire that would say your usual range. Say you had a patient that was in for 60 days in the ICU. That total amount would be 1,440. This field here, this usual high range of this 300, is going to say you're out of range. The usual range is between 1 and 300. You're out of range, but it's an acceptable range. The high value set here at 5,000 is where it would stop. It does not allow you to enter anything over 5,000, but it would allow you to enter that 60-day amount of 1,440. So the usual range low and the usual range high are soft parameters. The low value and the hard value are hard parameters. So those are hard stops. So it's just a guide to help you. If you have a range that's 1,440, you would still enter that range and it will still allow you to enter that. But a warning is going to fire that says, hey, it's over the 300 hour mark. Are you sure that's correct? And it's just letting you know that, hey, maybe you missed a decimal point or maybe it was entered incorrectly and to verify, but it's still going to accept that data. So I'm not saying to change things that are outside of the usual range or the usual range low or usual range high. I'm saying that when you get to these ridiculously high values or unexpected low values, that's something that's something that's really unusual, and I would like for you to reach out to us regarding specifically on initial ICU hours if you have patients that are in the ICU for over 200 days. I think that's something we would want the surgeons to know about because maybe we need to make an adjustment in these high values. So hopefully that explained that one a little bit further. Next question. So we'll talk more about these lab values. I didn't want to take up too much time, but just to clarify on what those usual high, usual low ranges are and what the soft parameters are and what the hard parameters are. Next question. How do we know when they are updating or installing patches by IQVIA? Is there an email notification or notification on the website? We could be in a loop of submitting and resubmitting to see if they have fixed errors.
Yes, so we put that in the notification section of the database. So if you look in the notifications on your left-hand pane, there'll be a red dot, and that will be where we will let you know that we're doing a release, and we also post notifications there about fixed issues.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. When do we consider the submission is successful and no further correction is needed to the data?
So I think that would be if you're loading your data and you're not seeing any errors or warnings, and then also recommend that you review the missingness report to ensure that your data set's complete.
Great, thank you. I heard that outside usual range errors need to be corrected to the highest or lowest allowable values. Is that required for warning issues in the DQ or critical? So not the usual range issues. It's the I deleted it. I turned off my screen. It's the hard and stop parameters, the very low or the very high. If you're just getting warnings on it, you do not need to correct to correct anything or change anything. These ranges are all built into your vendor software already. So they've been there for many, many years regarding the hard and soft stops on these values. I keep hearing questions about how to know mortality percentage follow-up, but wouldn't it be accurate that we can just look at percent unknown on the dashboard in the discharge mortality report?
Alex, can you take that one? Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. So the question is they want to look at discharge mortality. If you want to see MT30 status in order to see missing variables, you can. And in discharge and mortality, we also have the follow-up within the dashboard. So that would be the two ways of looking at the data.
Thank you, Alice.
Great, thank you. I have resolved critical and errors only warnings in the DQR. Does that mean my data will be included in the STS reports to get star ratings?
So again, I would look at the missingness report to ensure that you have complete records. Yeah, I would look there as well to be sure it's complete. Thank you.
Thank you. Initial intubation date can't be before the date of admission. Patient was transferred to us intubated. Do we ignore this? So I think this is where we're going to have overlap here with some of the definitions where the training manual has clarity in it, but it seems that the training manual isn't being followed, or the training manual isn't being referred to when you're abstracting. So I highly recommend that you look at what's in the training manual, and I'll show you where this is at so you can see it in there. We update the training manual every month, so it's those updates. They really need to be paid attention to as you're abstracting the data. So we're going to look at field here, intubation date and time for 2255. And here we say if the patient was admitted intubated or intubated at another institution and remained continually intubated into the surgical start time, capture the patient's admission date and time. So you would capture the patient's admission date and time for that question. And IQVIA did have an issue where if it was the same as the admission date and time, there was a warning that was firing, and they were fixing that warning. So it's really important that you refer to the training manual as you're abstracting. These have been coming up in your DQRs since the beginning of 2.9, and my guess is that now that we've changed the format of it being presented to the sites, that you're realizing what the DQR was actually saying. So it's, again, important to refer to your training manual as you are abstracting. How long should it take to add a user? I submitted the request last week, but still she does not have access for our site. So Donna, if you could please reach out to the I'll put my email in the box here. If you could please reach out to me and send me the email, I'll be happy to pass it on and make sure she gets access.
I can actually, this is Jane, sorry to interrupt, Carol. If you want to, if you can chat that to me, I can take care of it right now. I'm in the system. And I apologize for the delay, but we have hundreds of requests and we're trying to get to them as fast as we can. So my apologies, but please go ahead and send that to me and I can take care of it now.
Okay, thank you. So I'll put, okay, let's see, next question. I thought that if you accidentally tried to upload the wrong site ID, that the file would not process and you would get a red X upload error. I did choose the wrong site when I uploaded and did get critical errors that the participant IDs did not match. But in the file-based issue areas of the DQR screen, it said past file uploaded complete. Then I went to the missingness report. There was data in there.
Yeah, so I think it would be helpful if you could provide a bit more detail, maybe if you raise a ticket. The missingness report will show data that was migrated, so it's not just showing one upload, it's showing all the data in the system. So it's possible that you had migrated data, but if you had a critical error, the data was not loaded into our system. So critical errors do not get loaded. Not sure if that's helpful. If you need more information, I would definitely recommend you raise a ticket.
Great, thank you. Next question, can we upload all the participant dashboard reports, or I'm sorry, can we download all the participant dashboard reports? We need to export the full report as a PDF. When I click export, it only shows what is visible on the screen.
Right, so I think there might be ways for us to provide you the ability to download all of it. I need to follow up. Currently, it is just report by report, but let me follow up on that.
Okay, thank you. How do I allow for submitting for more than one facility? I think on the left-hand side, there's a spot where you select which facility you're submitting for. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. It's like a switch view. It says switch view, and then you will have all the facilities that you are allowed to submit for, and then you have to, go in under the new facility and upload your data. That's exactly right.
Great, thank you. Next question, can the reports include surgery date or discharge date? So I think we are including surgery date off of some of the requests, some of the input we received from Cindy Piotr, one of our core group members. Is that correct? That was one of the items?
Yes, that was one of the items. Yep, that's absolutely right. Yep.
Thank you. Which alerts in the DQR affect the participant score?
I'll need to follow up on that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. I think this is referring back to the DQR that sites received from DCRI and how we're implementing some of those same screens into the IQVIA platform. This is the mortality missing and things like that, I believe.
Okay, great. So that's something that we're working to deliver in the future.
Great, thank you. I think I'm going to, let's see here what we have. I do not have the, oh, did that one, sorry. Yes, my facility does not appear in the IQVIA platform, only my participant ID, and that's an expected function, function that you're going to see. Just the participant ID is going to display. How can we hide block cases that are not being used, TAVRs, so we can only look at missing info and the actual cases that will be in our report?
So I think we're looking at this as a future enhancement to allow you to filter out these cases that are not a part of the analyzed data set. That will be coming in the future.
Great, thank you. And there's a couple questions about can we download reports by procedure and can we download all reports? So I think that's, I forgot what you had just said on that, Sarah, sorry.
So I said currently you would be able to download based on the report that you're accessing, but we can look at for a future to be able to download all the different sections of the dashboard.
Okay, thank you. In regards to the missing data report, what I think would be helpful to print all the patients in one entire report. I do not mean one report to show the breakdown of what is missing, IV antibiotics, 10 out of 10, but the bottom part of the report where it lists all patients. So in other words, can they please develop one key to hit and export the entire missing reports of all patients?
I think there might be a way for you to do that. I've seen it. So let me follow up with my colleagues and we'll get that in a notification or a library so that we can show you how to do that.
Great, thank you. Can you include on the dashboard your data will be included in the executive summary and will be included for star ratings or something like that, like it has met the threshold?
Right. So I think we've talked with other data managers that are in the core group, and they provided some of that feedback. So I think this is something they talked about, and we will be looking to include this in a future release, some of these indicators.
Okay. And then it says, I see Bonnie just sent something in the chat box here. It says there is a way to do that. You can shift and highlight all missing. Then when you export all missing, it will be in your Excel report.
Thank you. I knew there was a way to do it. Thank you very much, Bonnie. I appreciate it. And we'll add that to the library so that we can share that with more people as well that aren't on the meeting.
Yeah. Thanks, Bonnie. That was really helpful. Thank you. Okay. Next question, is there another extension to deadline still being considered? So we are talking with IQVIA and DCRI to find a way that we can make an extension to the deadline, but that decision has not been made yet. We realize this is an extremely tight time frame for everybody, so we want to provide as much time as possible, and we hope to have an answer on that early next week. Anything to add to that, Sarah? And I don't know if Donna's still on or not.
No, I have nothing else. I think that's right.
Okay. All right. Next question. Where is IQVIA in regards to resolving the issues of actual duplicate cases, specifically our uploaded cases sent and received were corrected number of cases, However, in the adult cardiac dashboard, it showed more than what we had more than what we had submitted. Upon exporting and comparing lists, it seems that 154 cases were duplicates.
This is another one we're actively working on. So there's 2 instances of this that I'm aware of. So we'll get in touch with you next week, early next week.
Great. Thank you. How do you see the patient detail without having to click at one patient at a time?
I think our Bonnie's our expert there. So I think that, is that what you're talking about, being able to export all of it? Or if you'd like to see the case you have to click on one at a time. There's no way of clicking on multiple cases at once. But I think Bonnie had explained the shift and highlight all missing, and you'll be able to see all your patients.
Great, thank you. Okay, and this entire screen to export to PDF Excel, this is what Bonnie was talking about?
So this is different, I think. This is more in line with the other questions where the data managers want to be able to download more aspects of the report. So I'll take a note on this as well, because I know we've done some of this in other projects. So let me follow up and get the instructions back to the team.
Okay, great, thank you. Next question, how can we see our isolated procedure counts in the dashboard?
Alex, are you there still? Isolated procedure counts in the dashboard?
So that is actually not something that we can see by actual procedures. So here's the thing. You can select each procedure and look at the total count for that procedure in and of itself, but you're not going to get a chart that says what are the totals for your procedures. I do believe that for missing variables, we are going to show missingness by variable by procedure in the future.
And we are working on instituting the procedure identification chart into, I don't know which platform or which section that's going to be in, but I know that we're working on instituting the procedure identification chart. Is that right, Alex? I think that's what we're working on now.
I will have to double check in where that is, but I think that is one of the requirements that we do have.
Okay, thank you. Right, so even when you export into the DQR into Excel, it's still all in one column, so completely useless since it can't be sorted. So we showed, that screen we showed where the message is at, those are being broken out, so you will be able to sort on those columns, and it will make it easier, more efficient for you to look at the data. How do we know the update or patch has been installed by IQVIA? Is there an email, a notification, or do we just assume?
So again, that's in the resource. So we'll put a notification, and we'll provide more detail in the resources about that as well. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I keep hearing questions about how to know percent mortality follow-up, but wouldn't it be accurate that we can just look at the percent unknown on the dashboard in the discharge mortality report?
Yes, I think Alex mentioned that would work. So yes, that's great. Thank you, Bonnie.
Great, thank you. Some of these things that we were told would be fixed have not been corrected, like the missingness report. When can we expect these changes?
I think we'll need more information about what you're referring to. We are trying to keep current with our current status, but if you could provide a bit more detail, that would be helpful.
Great, thank you. Will there be any canned reports like an NQF?
So I think we're working to expand the reports. So there will be more reports that will be available. We are going to be delivering capabilities iteratively. So as we continue with the project, there will be more reports that will be available on the platform.
Great, thank you. Okay, are we to change values to min or max on all fields that allow values? So you should follow whatever values are allowed up to the hard parameters like we had just spoke about. So I would follow what's in there. Your vendor software is set up to notify you when you're out of the usual range, and it also notifies you when you are outside of the hard and hard ranges. So this is all already built into your vendor software. It's going to fire a warning when you see that you're outside of the soft values, those unusual or usual high, usual low ranges, and it's not going to allow you to enter values that are outside of those high and low amounts. So this is already built into your software. These min-max values, they're nothing new for your version, for any of the versions that are that we're taking data in for. The only reason why you're seeing these is because we have built in that you're outside of the min-max, the high-low usual ranges, and maybe we should talk more about that offline. Maybe that's confusing people. So do we need to change the data for all of these warnings, or just for the red alerts? No, you don't need to change data for the warnings unless they're wrong. Unless the data is wrong, then you correct the data for the warnings. The red alerts, these are critical issues I think you're talking about, and so the critical issues are not going to allow that file to be accepted for analysis. Is that right on the criticals?
Yeah, they're record. So if you have other data in your file, it will be accepted. But if there's critical warnings on a record, that record is not accepted. It needs to be corrected. That's right.
Great, thank you. Please clarify about no more PDFs. Will the STS send emails quarterly after the data has been processed that we can then print outcomes from the dashboard? So your benchmarked data, the next report to come out, and actually I just received notification from DCRI that they are loading your Harvest 4 or Quarter 3 reports into the portal, into the DCRI portal now, and it's going to take about 9 hours to complete. They are in the process of uploading that and will notify sites as soon as those reports are posted. This is going to be your last report that you can pull down from the portal. The portal closes March 31st. And then you should make sure that you have pulled down all of your historical reports by that time. After this report, we're going to strict dashboard. We're only going to have dashboard reporting, and the benchmarks will be updated quarterly. So it's updated in near real time with each submission that you make for non-risk adjusted data for your raw data, and then the benchmarks are updated quarterly, and you'll be able to pull down reports from those dashboards for internal reporting purposes, and we will go through how to use the dashboard for reporting at your facility. Will we be getting more detail lines in our report? I could not find some of the measures we had on the previous report, I could not find on the dashboard. For example, early extubation, patients extubated within 6 hours.
Yeah, I can follow up on that. I think as I mentioned, there's going to be more reports coming. Right now, it's the initial release of the report, so we'll continue to augment the reports based on the feedback from the team.
Great, thank you. We are not seeing the total number of operative mortalities within hospitalization. And operative mortalities is within hospitalization or within 30 days of OR date. Just to clarify, only the ones that were alive at discharge died after hospital.
So is that in the dashboard report? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think
That's
if you
okay,
could
Barbara,
provide
could you please clarify for that one? And I wonder, I have a question on that, Sarah, just to follow up because I want to know everything. The operative mortalities, if there are no operative mortalities, do they show up as 0 or do they not appear at all?
Alex, can you take that one? Dashboard. Alex, are you still there?
Yes, so actually the dashboard won't, the dashboard will display it. It'll just be a 0. So if you've seen on our variables when I did the demo, there were a lot of them that were just 0s because they were not there. And so they're categorized as missing. So yeah, they're not dynamic in the sense that they change and disappear. It's a static 0. It'll just show 0.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. All right, I see questions here. Lowest intraoperative hematocrit is 13.5 and is showing as a validation warning. So I just want to show, I think it might be good to see because we are going to be seeing these warnings show up. I want to show you where you're going to find the allowable information. So under the data collection resources for 2.9 in the data specs here. And let's see, we're going to look at lowest intra-op hematocrit, which is sequence 2315. So let me search that by Control F and type in 2315. And then we see here the usual range low is 17 and usual range high is 40. So you have a range that's below the usual range low. That's why you're receiving that warning. It's just saying, hey, check that out, make sure that it's correct. It's still an allowable value. Now, if you had put in that range was 0.13, you're going to get a message that says, hey, that's a critical warning, a critical error, or I'm sorry, an error. And it's not an allowable value because it's below this low value of 1.0. So this is how you read this chart. It's the usual range low and usual range high are soft values. These low values and high values are hard values, hard stops. Okay. So this is correct. Again, the lowest intraoperative hematocrit is 41.9 and hemoglobin is 13.9. So the lowest intraop hematocrit is 41.9. That's actually, we probably should look into that one because that's the unusual high range. So it probably says, oh, I'm sorry, the lowest intraoperative hematocrit you entered is 41.9. That's above the usual high range. So it's giving you a soft warning saying, hey, look at this, make sure it's correct. If you know that it's correct, then you just ignore that warning and move on. Nothing to do with that one. Has the known issues list been posted? If so, where can I find it? So IQVIA is posting, Sarah said she'll be posting that known issues list, I think, I don't remember what day you said.
Monday.
But it should be,
we'll get it
not
Monday.
Posted yet. Okay,
yeah.
But it will be up there by the end of close of business day on Monday on the IQVIA portal. How far back has historical data been loaded? It's been loaded back to version 2.81. IQVIA has all of the data, but what's readily available is data through 2.81. All of the other data is kept in cold storage at IQVIA. I guess that's what I've been told.
That's correct.
Okay, let me check this one out real quick. This says I have critical PO2 value of 22. It gave me a critical error. I don't know where my PO2 value is at. I do know. So you're telling me that your patient has an oxygen level, arterial blood gas level of a PO2 value of 22. I would like you to send that case into the FAQ mailbox and send us the values that you received for the ABG results so we can verify and make sure that that's correct, because we'll need to bring that to the surgeons to help you address how to collect that. Will the dashboard reflect, oh, I'm sorry, it's 5 minutes after 4. We're going to take one more question, Sarah, and then we can jump off here. And I appreciate everybody joining. Good. Okay, next question. Will the dashboard reflect the real-time information during this harvest period? Let's say January to December 2019 was uploaded today. Will I be able to see that summary, see the summary?
Yes, it's near real time, so it might take a few minutes, but it will be available, yes.
Okay. Thank you. So thanks everybody for joining. Our next webinar we have scheduled is for February 12th at 3 p.m. It's a user group call similar to this style setup. And then following that, we'll have another user group call on Friday, February 14th at 2 p.m. Central. So I thank everybody for joining. Thank you, Sarah and Alex and Jeanette, for all of your input. And Jane, thank you so much. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay safe and Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.